Hello everyone, welcome to our program today. My name is Ray Lapalkin with the Universal Peace Federation. And today we're going to be watching part 2 of our rally that we had calling Peace Starts With Me. So I hope you'll enjoy that. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about some principles that we adhere to and admire and talk about in the Universal Peace Federation. Certain principles of peace. Number 1, we are one human family created by God. The way to rise above the pursuit of self-interest is to recognize our common humanity given to us by our Creator. Just as a parent can intercede in the disputes of children, the parental heart originating from the Creator can help us to resolve the differences that exist between nations, cultures, and religions. Number 2, the highest qualities of the human being are spiritual and moral in nature. Human beings long for truth, beauty, and goodness. Life's deepest meaning and purpose can be found through their pursuit. Each person has an eternal spirit that transcends physical life. Spiritual principles are to be practiced in this life so that we are prepared for the eternal world. Number 3, the family is a school of love and peace. In the family, the most basic personal and public virtues are learned. Understanding the family as a school of love helps us to recognize that family is the most essential institution. The foundation for a healthy family is a faithful, committed marriage. 4, living for the sake of others is a way to reconcile the divided human family. By practicing living for the sake of others, we become other-centered rather than self-centered. The essence of good character is true love expressed through unselfish actions. Number 5, peace comes through cooperation beyond the boundaries of ethnicity, religion, and nationality. Lasting peace cannot be achieved through political compromise alone, but requires addressing the root causes of conflict. Transcending racial, religious, and ethnic barriers is an imperative of our time. Faith can give people the power to forgive and the love to overcome even generations of hatred, resentment, and violence. So I hope you enjoy part 2 of our rally, Peace Starts With Me. We'll have some more entertainment and some guest speakers and panelists as well, so please enjoy.
Over the years, great men and women have paved the way for peace. They stood up to injustice, shared a kind word, risked everything, and made it easier for everyday people like you and me to make this world a better place.
When all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Let us all together thank God for this beautiful occasion where we can all together proclaim the joy of spreading peace in the world.
We know it well that none of us acting alone can achieve success.
Now this century, 21st century, should be century of dialogue in order to develop peaceful century.
I want there to be peace everywhere. We can work together and show the world that we are together fighting for an important cause.
We must move forward together as one in a renewed spirit of fraternity and solidarity, cooperating generously for the common good.
진정한 자유, 평등, 평화, 통일, 행복한 세상은 멀리 있는 것이 아닙니다.
Peace Starts With Me is responding to the COVID-19 pandemic by giving much-needed relief to the most vulnerable communities here in the U.S. text Peacemaker to 33444 or donate at PeaceStartsWithMe.com. Help us help the community.
We are having a great time. We are here now with the Peace Panel. Very thrilled to have with us Dr. Debbie Bartlett from the Bahamas. Dr. Bartlett serves on the Board of Governors of the Bahamas Faith Ministries and has been appointed managing consultant for the Caribbean for the Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy. Wonderful to have you with us, Dr. Bartlett. Thank you for coming on the show. And we're also honored to have with us today Pastor Darren Jaime from Syracuse, New York. Pastor Jaime has been privileged to reach a global community as an award-winning journalist, educating minds across the world. Among other shows, Pastor Jaime is currently the host of Power Perspectives Live on 360Wise TV. These shows are extending the narrative beyond the headlines of the mainstream media. Pastor Jaime, welcome to the show. We also have with us Dr. Lou An Rouse, my good friend, the national co-chairman of the American Clergy Leadership Conference, co-pastor of the Manhattan Family Church. He's an author, a psychotherapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and a social activist. We also have today Joshua Holmes, who is the assistant pastor of the Manhattan Family Church in New York City. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have with us also the fabulous Robert Alexander, CEO of 360Wise Media and 360Wise TV. He would have me say, every day, expect the great, for we are the recipients of our expectations. So we make what we create. Right here we make, right? That's right. Well, Peace Panel, so glad that you could make this show here on Peace Starts With Me. Here as we're kicking off the month of August, I just got to ask you a simple question. Starting with Dr. Bartlett, what does Peace Starts With Me mean to you?
Well, peace is having that inner environment that is free of disturbance. But I believe we achieve that when we know the reason we are born, when we know purpose. There's something powerful about purpose. Purpose gives birth to vision. And we are able to focus on hope, and our vision points us to opportunity. When we are focused on vision, it helps us discriminate with the company that we need to keep. So for example, I know that I'm an excellent company today. And all of a sudden, those barriers of race, those barriers of geographical boundaries that sometimes restrict us, dissipate, because we know we are after peace. You know, the Moon family has been doing a phenomenal job. All of a sudden, we unite on what is common to us. We unite because of the faith that we share. We unite because of the values that, doesn't that give you peace? When you have that inner peace, peace to me is when you can love someone unconditionally. And all we are doing is it then creates an environment where we say, let us help each other succeed because we were born to be great.
Wow, beautiful. So it gives you the power of discernment and also the will to see one another from God's perspective. Pastor Jaime, would you add to this? You know, we're discussing here the topic of Black Health Matters because, in fact, there's still a lot of people that are unaware of this disparity that Dr. Bartlett was referring to. And I know there's a lot of factors that lead to it, but we're hoping to also serve in some way, in some capacity, at least to bring greater awareness to this. So what say you, Pastor Jaime?
Okay, so I concur with what I heard. I concur with what you just said. When you talk about Black Health Matters, the first thing that comes to mind is Black Lives Matter. And what's the purpose of Black Lives Matter? It's to raise awareness about inequities. It's about to raise awareness about the social injustice that's going on. And the same thing holds true when it comes to health. And so when we talk about Black Lives Matter, or I should say Black Health Matters, we're talking about raising an awareness across the nation and across the world that Black lives and Black health has to matter. When we look at healthcare, we know that there are disparities in the healthcare system. when you turn around and you look at disease and we look at COVID-19, it affects a vulnerable population that mostly affects communities of color. It's raising the banner and it's raising the awareness that Black health matters. We have to address these issues of HIV. We have to address the issues of diabetes. We have to address the issues of COVID-19. We have to address the issues that are consistently facing communities of color when it comes to the healthcare field. And many times we don't even understand how drastic it is. But when we live in a country where it's believed to be that 61% of African Americans in this country are now facing poverty, healthcare, it goes along with poverty. So if you've got a poor neighborhood, you're more than likely going to have poor healthcare, and you're going to have poor resources being poured in there. It's raising the awareness that there has to be something done in the area of Black health. And then secondly, it's not just raising an outward awareness, I think it also raises an inward awareness too, that those of us who are in the community have to say Black health matters. So we can't afford to be eating wrong. We can't afford to not visit our doctors. We can't afford to not be missing out on taking medications that could actually help us. So it's also raising the awareness outward, but it's also dealing with some things inwardly as well. And we've got some homework that we got to do at home in terms of dealing with some of our issues and our challenges, in terms of taking care of our body, in terms of going out to a doctor. We know the statistics show that African American men are not necessarily the fastest to go to the doctor, but yet and still we're the fastest ones going to the cemetery. So we have to reverse that, and we have to do some things in order to raise the awareness, and not only just raise the awareness, but also take matters into our own hands and do what's necessary. Eating healthy, living healthy, exercising, doing all of those things, and then raising our collective voices and saying Black health matters.
Amazing. All right, let's shift gears. Before this incredible, impactful pandemic, probably one of the biggest stories in the news was about Korea, specifically North and South Korea, right? We went through this period of time with this escalated tension between the president of the United States and Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea. And then there was a series of talks and meetings, but it wasn't ever long before there was another missile test or something else. This was what was really going on in the news. And I could think of really no better example on the world stage of a tension that really needs some reconciliation, right? We were probably never supposed to think of Korea as North and South. Here we have this division on the 38th parallel that this month is really marking the 75th year of the emergence of this 38th parallel at the close of the Second World War. This once united nation divided into North and South. So, we know that this is something that Mother Moon, the mother of peace, she writes about in her memoir. She has been leading a worldwide movement to seek reconciliation of the Korean Peninsula. I'd like to ask you now, considering this, how can we reconcile the differences between our nations, such as the Korean Peninsula?
This is a very important conversation. It is a priority for the American Clergy Leadership Conference and building with the World Clergy Leadership Conference. For we feel that it is a unity of clergy, of religious leaders, of minds coming together with other professionals, as well as those who are in the political arena and other arenas of life. We have to begin to communicate from each one of our areas. Too often we leave ourselves as though we are on an Isle of Patmos, so to speak, that we are alone in the situations and we're digesting it in, and maybe we'll write a book about it or send out a message about it. But in reality, we cannot live in this world alone. And the situation with North and South Korea offers us a good opportunity now to take deep interest in something that could cause a great explosive situation that destroys much of the world, if not all of the world, with what is going on. So it needs to be handled right. And in order to be handled right, we need to bridge the gaps that are existing, not just between those two countries on the peninsula of Korea, but the gaps that bridge the gaps with their allies, bridge the gaps with the political ramblings that go on, to say that the President of the United States of America could bond in a way to have an intelligent conversation with the leader of North Korea that shows some light towards possibilities. But we need that to happen with South Korea, North Korea, all of us coming together. And the spiritual leaders, I do feel strongly, have a role in that. One that is as influencers, yes, but also as those who represent what we've been talking about earlier, peace, keeping the calm in the midst of the storm.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, 75 years of back and forth and lockdown and separation. That's a huge pill to swallow. That, the entire world should just digest that. 75 years. 75 years, right next door. We could have gotten the bus and went right over there to the line where the guards were. And I was there, as you stated, with Dr. Rousey as well in February. But you know what? We never thought in 100 years that we would get hit with a massive lockdown like the COVID-19. And this COVID-19 has, in all actuality, yes, a lot of our brothers and sisters, all colors, all cultures, all creeds, with medical conditions have fell extremely ill to it. A lot have passed away because of it. And a lot of people have been able to sit down, just like you said, zooming away, communication, like the Jetsons. This is light speed communication. We're forced here right now, right? And if we thought that this was not possible, then we can assume that the possibility of the North and the South coming together, it's right here, and it's through telecommunications. It's taken over the airwaves. The Dr. Bartlett, she has a very great analogy and a speech about who's the prince of the airwaves and how we must take over the airwaves, and how it's actually happening right now with this Peace Starts With Me virtual rally. I mean, I understand you guys, usually the whole Coliseum is packed, but we're not allowing that to stop us at this particular point. Here we are again. We're virtual now. That's right. That's right. I love it, Robert. Peace panel, we now have perhaps the most important question to conclude this segment. The question is, what spiritual advice can you give our viewers? And keep in mind, the simpler, the more likely they will remember. So first, back to you, Dr. Bartlett. What spiritual advice can you give our viewers?
The peace of God gives us a peace that passeth all understanding. I think we all had that thread today. Let's cultivate mentorship, succession planning, because again, that is that pathway to hope, that we are planning to help each other. The final thing is, when we talk about that, I have to tell you, final thing, you cannot bring local, national, or national conversion without media. And so what we need to do is take an action step. And what are we going to do to continue to speak this message and identify some goals and communicate it through media? Because people not only hear with their ears, they hear with their eyes. Yep. They need to see us as family, yes. Whether we're in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, whether we're in the US, South Korea, North Korea. Let us, and the final thing I'll say on media, the sons of disobedience walk according to the power of the prince of the air. So anyone that is disobeying the laws of success, then we know that we are allowing the wrong messages to get through to the airwaves. So we got to own the airwaves. We got to get our messages through. And there has to be evidence that we are industrious, we have the mindset of ownership, and we love one another, because peace anchors us.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Bartlett. Beautiful. Joshua Holmes, bring it to us, brother. What spiritual advice do you have for us on the panel and our viewers?
God bless. I'm humbled to be asked this question. I'm on an incredible panel here, but if I could speak to the youth on this virtual rally and maybe the youth in the hearts of all people with this. The thing that comes to mind is Gideon's army. The 300 men in Gideon's army who won an incredible victory despite impossible odds. But they were people that were called, people that stood up and stepped up in that time. And I feel that for our young people. They have the passion, they have the energy. We just have to be strong and courageous, not afraid and dismayed, and move forward knowing that God is with us wherever we go. But we don't do so carelessly. So the call to action for me as a young person is that I need to be with God in that passion. It's not just going out and screaming and making noise, but doing so with wisdom that is passed on from our elders, from the generation that has the wisdom to give. And I believe that we can learn that from our mothers and fathers. I believe we can learn that from scripture, from the incredible people who have walked that path. And when us as young people inherit that and we move forward, we don't need so many of us, actually. It's just 300. And we can change this world. If we equip ourselves with the truth of peace starts with me and fully embrace it as young people, like we really think about it.
Wow, thank you. Joshua, I hear you speaking to the incredible and important impact of our youth and yet the need for our youth to be ready to inherit. I mean, what you can't do if you unite as youth. There's no peace movement that's going to lose if it's backed and led by the youth. But I hear you saying it's necessary to listen to our father and our mother. It's necessary to listen to our elders and to also, like Dr. Rouse mentioned, the education and to listen. And isn't that, as elders, what we wish to see from our own sons and daughters, from our own youth? We want to see that what we've invested our lives in can be picked up by the next generation. God bless you. Robert, you got a word? You want to put something in the basket?
But yeah, but it's so important for our elders to step up for the youth.
There you
Get
go.
me? It's so important for our elders to step up with the youth.
Right.
That's
So what do we got to say to our elders? How do we step up for the youth?
You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. Because we were all young at one point. If you're an elder,
right.
I mean, here, look, I'm at this table because of my elder, A. Curtis Farrell, and he scooped me up. You understand? So it's like we can't be afraid. We have to, tap in because it's all written.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. When I think about that, I thought about one thing in particular, right? I think about the story of David. I think like when you look at David, David fought a fight that he never was supposed to fight. That fight was supposed to be taken on by other people. David was the youngest one. There was a generation that came before him that was supposed to take care of that. And so our message right now is we should be taking care of this to really pave the way for our young people. I'm glad to see them out there. I'm glad to see them protesting. I'm glad to see them leading. But somewhere along the line, we have to also, carry the mantle ourselves and do the job and then pass it off. But don't let them do it for us. We should be working better.
I love it. Well, we should all be doing better. Perhaps now, to help all of these incredible insights sink in, we should listen to some music. What do you guys think? Coming up in a moment, we have the beautiful Joanne Rosario. Peace panel. I hope you guys paid attention in Spanish class because she's going to be singing in her native tongue. She really wanted to be a part of the show, but she's currently in Panama City, Panama. But she did ask us to play this song, which was just recently recorded at a church event there. We're going to be listening to that in a moment. However, viewers, if you were hungry for peace, you came to the right place because we have filled an entire basket of spiritual groceries for you. Not just spiritual, but practical insights, collaboration, conversation, depth from seniors, from youngers. And I believe that we all can take a whole load of goodness away from this segment. Peace panel, you're awesome. I'm hearing Dr. Bartlett, you talking about how we got to take over the airwaves. Well, I'd love to see one or two of you on your radio shows or TV shows. Let's talk about it one day. We got some great speakers, some great thought leaders in our community, and I know you guys do too. Thank you all so much for being with us. Dr. Bartlett, Pastor Jaime, Robert from 360 Wise. In case you missed the big sign behind his head, that's where he is. And Dr. Rouse and Joshua, thank you so much for the words you brought. It is written, so let us not erase it and let us not close the book on it. We are the stewards of God's will here on earth, and we can build this peace kingdom that generations have longed for, prayed for, and sacrificed their lives for. Peace panel, peace out. God bless you. Guys, it's time for some more music, so let's enjoy.
Isaías vio al Señor sentado sobre un trono, exaltado y sublime, sus faldas llenan el templo, serafines que volaban, serafines que volaban. Isaías vio al Señor sentado sobre un trono, exaltado y sublime, sus faldas llenan el templo, serafines y decían unos a otros, serafines que volaban y decían unos a otros, oh santo, 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 Jehová de los ejércitos, santo, 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 toda la tierra está llena de su gloria. Los quiciales de las puertas se estremecieron con la voz al que clamaba en lo alto, la casa de humo se llenó. Serafines que volaban y decían unos a otros, serafines que volaban y decían unos a otros. Toda la tierra está llena
Starts With Me is responding to the COVID-19 pandemic by giving much-needed relief to the most vulnerable communities here in the U.S. Text Peacemaker to 33444 or donate at PeaceStartsWithMe.com. Help us help the community.
Wow, thank you, Joanne Rosario. That really was a beautiful, beautiful performance. Dear viewers, just 1 week from now, Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, our true mother, the mother of peace, is going to be hosting a worldwide, a global rally of hope. You know, when you look across the world landscape, she is clearly the most powerful change maker, the most amazing woman leader of our time. She's bringing leaders and speakers and thought leaders from all over the world in order to carve a pathway of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values in order to bring about a world of peace. This is the real thing. Acting as our mother with the heart to bring peace to all of us, all 7.7 billion people, she's reminding us that even though we may say, I love God, we do not always act with the essence that Jesus Christ himself sacrificed his life in order to teach us. Sometimes, even in the name of God, we commit unthinkable crimes. The Mother of Peace is talking to us straight, just like a mother would do. And she's reminding us that it's actually us. It is we who have the blessing and responsibility to create the heavenly peaceful world that we have all been longing for. You're going to want to sign up for the Global Rally of Hope that's coming up next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's just 1 week away. But in the meantime, just to give you a little taste of Mother Moon's heart, of her commitment for true peace, we put together this little message from the Mother of Peace. Please watch.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that presentation. Some great speakers, a lot of great comments, a lot of great ideas, and some great entertainment as well. So I'd like to close by offering a complimentary copy of our co-founder's autobiography, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, and also his wife, Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon. If you're interested in a copy of their memoirs, please give me a call. And please join us for episode 3. Thank you so much.